The Galactic Federation battlecruiser Luminous Dawn hovered at the edge of contested space, its massive hull gleaming under the light of a distant star. On the command deck, Captain Vor stood with his forearms clasped behind his back, staring at the holographic display with all three of his eyes narrowed in concentration. "Status report on the human vessel," he demanded. Lieutenant Tex looked up from her console. "They're still operational, Captain. Despite taking heavy damage to their life support systems and losing shield capacity, they continue to resist." Vor clicked his mandibles in frustration. These humans were proving more resilient than intelligence had suggested. The Federation had classified Earth as a death world, a harsh planet with extreme conditions that bred tenacious life forms. But Vor had dismissed such characterizations as exaggerations. "Open a channel to their captain. One last chance to surrender before we finish this." The main screen flickered to life, revealing the human captain. Her face was streaked with what Vor recognized as blood, and the bridge behind her was filled with smoke and emergency lighting. "Captain Smith of Earth Vessel Defiant," Vor began formally. "Your situation is hopeless. Surrender now and we will ensure the survival of your remaining crew." The human's lips curved upward in what Vor knew was called a smile, though there was nothing pleasant about it. "That's awfully kind of you, Captain Vor, but we're not quite done yet." The transmission cut abruptly. Vor turned to his tactical officer. "What are they planning?" Before the officer could respond, Lieutenant Tex called out, "Captain, 3 human life forms have exited their vessel. They appear to be moving through space toward us." "Show me," Vor ordered, his voice tight with disbelief. The view screen shifted to show 3 tiny figures moving through the void between the damaged human vessel and the Federation cruiser. They wore what appeared to be minimal protective gear, nothing like the comprehensive environmental suits Federation protocols required for extravehicular activity. "Magnify," Vor ordered. The image zoomed in, revealing 3 humans in what looked like simplified pressure suits with transparent helmets. Most shocking, they were propelling themselves not with standard propulsion packs but by expelling bursts of gas from handheld canisters, changing direction with precise, controlled movements. "What are they doing?" whispered Commander Zell, Vor's second-in-command. "This is suicide." The answer came moments later when the humans reached the underside of the cruiser. One produced a device and began cutting through the hull's outer layer. "Impossible," Zell exclaimed. "They're breaching our hull manually," Vor watched in horrified fascination. "Deploy security teams to the breach point now." In the lower decks of the Luminous Dawn, 12 elite Federation soldiers gathered outside the maintenance bay, where sensors indicated the humans would emerge. Commander Lack, leader of the security team, checked his plasma rifle one last time. "Remember, these are Deathworlders," he warned his squad. "They're dangerous, but they're not invincible. Set weapons to maximum." A terrible grinding sound came from the outer wall and then silence. The security team raised their weapons. With an explosive burst, a section of the wall blew inward. Through the swirling debris and escaping atmosphere stepped 3 humans. Their movements were unnervingly smooth despite the fluctuating gravity and pressure. The lead human removed her helmet, revealing short, dark hair and eyes that seemed to evaluate every threat in the room at once. Federation training dictated that no being could survive even momentary exposure to vacuum, yet this human had removed her protection without hesitation. "Open fire!" Lack ordered, his voice cracking. The humans moved with shocking speed, diving for cover behind maintenance equipment. One human pulled out an archaic projectile weapon and began returning fire with deadly accuracy. "They're using kinetic weapons," shouted one of the soldiers in disbelief. "Primitive projectiles," the lead human called out to her companions. "Jack, take the left flank. Tom, keep them pinned down. I'm going for the central systems." What followed was a display of combat tactics that left the Federation soldiers reeling. The humans didn't fight like any species they had encountered. They utilized the environment, created distractions, and coordinated with minimal communication. Most disturbingly, they seemed almost comfortable in the chaotic conditions. As gravity fluctuated and air pressure dropped, the humans adjusted, instantly while the Federation soldiers struggled. In the command center, Vor watched the security feed with growing horror. How are they doing this? They breached vacuum without proper gear, they're fighting in unstable conditions, and they're winning against superior numbers and technology. Commander Zell's voice was hollow. This is what it means to come from a death world, Captain. Earth's gravity is 1.5 times Federation standard. Their atmosphere is corrosive by our standards. Their planet experiences weather that would destroy our cities. They've evolved to survive conditions we consider catastrophic. On the screen, the female human reached the environmental control panel and attached a small device. Alarms began blaring throughout the ship. They've overridden life support, Lieutenant Tex cried. They're changing the atmosphere composition and increasing gravity to Earth standards. For the Federation crew, it was a death sentence. As oxygen levels rose and gravity increased, they found themselves unable to move, struggling to breathe what was to them toxic air. Vor collapsed to the deck, watching as the three humans strode confidently onto the bridge. The leader looked down at him without malice. "Basic survival training, Captain," she said simply. "Every Earth child learns how to handle vacuum exposure for short periods, navigate in zero-G, and adapt to changing conditions. We call it emergency preparedness. Nothing special." As consciousness faded, Vor finally understood. What the Federation considered impossible environmental conditions, humans called Tuesday. What his people saw as heroic last stands, humans viewed as basic training exercises. Earth wasn't just a death world. It was a forge that had created a species for whom survival against impossible odds was simply the default expectation. And the galaxy would never be the same.